How's it going, everybody? Welcome to the channel where we talk about the good, the bad, and the ugly. My name is Miles Gutierrez. Thank you for joining me today. We're going to be talking about the new A24 film Love Lies Bleeding, starring Kristen Stewart as gym manager Lou, who falls for a bodybuilder named Jackie, played by Katy O'Brien, who is passing through town on her way to a competition in Las Vegas. Now, this film is directed by Rose Glass, who directed an underrated movie a couple of years ago named Saint Maud, and her creative style in that movie made me aware of her as a director because I really like what she was doing with that movie. She had some creative freedoms. There were things that I liked and appreciated about this movie. So going into Love Lies Bleeding, I kind of wanted to see what her take was outside of that movie, because that movie is a completely different movie than what Love Lies Bleeding is. And while I don't think this movie kind of came together for me as an overall package as much as that movie did, I'm still conflicted about this movie because there are things that I liked about it, but then there are things in here that I thought could have done a little bit better. For starters, Kristen Stewart and Katy O'Brien, the relationship that they built between these two, I actually thought they fleshed that out pretty well. You buy into the relationship from the moment the movie starts, and just seeing them take this journey together, seeing where the end game for this movie is. I thought that is where the movie really hit its strides. I thought that is where the movie was actually a little bit more engaging than what they tried to do later on, because Katy O'Brien, I think this is the first time that I've actually seen her in a movie, and she was an absolute star in here. This is a star performance for her, and the entire time that I was seeing her on screen, I was thinking she would have made a perfect She-Hulk, and not just because of her physique, but because of what they tried to do with her character later on. She also does remind me a little bit more of Tatiana Maslany, so on some aspects, I think she would have made a better She-Hulk than what we actually got in the She-Hulk movie. But putting that all aside, she was just absolutely fantastic, and you get to see her going through all the motions because she's basically a hitchhiker. When we first get to meet her, she's trying to find a job in order for her to get to Vegas, and that is where she meets Lou, where her dad owns the gyms that she works out in, and the relationship that they built together worked for me absolutely. And I know Kristen Stewart has a lot of negativity towards her, mostly because of the Twilight films. But I think over time, she has really honed her craft as her own, and she holds her own in here. Whenever she needed to be a little bit more vulnerable, that's when you buy her. She's not a moopy character in here. There are things about her that are really haunting this character's past and what she has to deal with, mostly because Dave Franco, who plays Jenna Malone's husband, he is an abusive dick, and so she is trying to keep her shit together and not trying to rail on him just yet until things get worse. And I thought there were complexities to her character that I really liked. Plus, you also have Ed Harris, who plays her dad, and I think he is deliciously evil in this movie. It's been a while since I've seen him. I know he had like a 5-second cameo in Top Gun Maverick, but in here, there are things about this character that make him really haunting and terrifying all at the same time. And Rose Glass, for the most part, really hones in with this. I believe it's either the 70s or the 80s feel. It is very neon, so they captured that time period that this movie is taking place in really well, especially when it comes down to the soundtrack and the set design. The cinematography for this movie is absolutely great. But then we get towards the last half of the movie, and at first I don't think it worked for me as much as it should have, because it goes in such a weird direction that I quite frankly didn't know what I was watching, and I think I got what Rose Glass was trying to go for. I think I got the metaphors in here, because every single time that Katy O'Brien's character takes uh this steroid type of thing, there's a transformation that goes on a little bit. You get to see sprinkles here and there, but then it goes in a completely different direction towards the last half of the movie. Plus, you also have this character that's really obsessed with Kristen Stewart's character that pops in and out every now and then. And whenever she popped up, she grinded my gears a little bit, and I could have done without that subplot or that character overall. But as for the movie, it's okay. It's just a completely different movie than I was really expecting, because I thought it was going to be this road trip revenge tale, but it's turns out to be something completely different. So on some aspects, I enjoyed it for what they were trying to go for. And on some aspects, I thought they could have done a little bit more to flesh out the characters and some of the scenarios here and there a little bit, because at times the editing is a little bit choppy. Plus, there are things going on in the background. So overall, I'm going to go ahead and give Love Lies Bleeding a 7 out of 10. It's fun enough. This movie just won't be for everybody because there are a lot of things going on in here that won't be for the general audience, and some people might think it overly does it at times. But I enjoyed this movie for what they were trying to go for, and I think I got some of the metaphors at the end of the film, but I enjoyed it. It's definitely not one that I would recommend rushing out to see in theaters. I think this is one that you can easily stream on either Netflix or on Prime. So check it out when it comes out on streaming, but overall I enjoyed it for what they were trying to go for. But those are my thoughts on Love Lies Bleeding. Are you guys planning on checking this film out, or have you checked it out? Go ahead and drop your thoughts in the comments below, and I'll catch you guys for the next video.